What's up YouTube, Christo here, and I've got another vinyl collection video for you. This time I'm going to be looking at my Smog 7 inches. I've got a good few of them here, and I just did my 12 inches EPs and LPs, so I thought I would do a separate video for these just because it would have made the video way too long. I've got a good few of them, so I want to make sure the video is not like 40 minutes or whatever, because it probably would be. Be sure to check this video out soon. It's already been filmed, so it should be up already. And I've got another video I'm going to do literally today, right after this, with one of my all-time favorite bands, metal, punk, whatever you want to call them. His Here Was Gone, and then I've got a few Destroyer records that I'm going to throw in to do that next installation of my collection. But for now, Smog 7 inches. Bill Callahan, aka Smog, or now known as Bill Callahan, no question one of my all-time favorite artists. I've been listening to him probably since the late 90s, and I've never fallen out of love with him. One of the few artists I listened to in high school that I still listen to today, and I never stopped in the middle. There's lots I listened to then and kind of got, familiarized with recently, and there's lots I hated then that I love now, that I love then that I hated now, but Smog is definitely one that's always been there, and I've got a lot of nostalgic connections to a lot of records, a lot of the songs. Not as much the 7 inches. A lot of these are really new to me, although I have a lot of the tracks on, their respective albums and compilations, Accumulation None. But yeah, let's get into this. And yeah, there's a few really good gems in here. Not really in any specific order. It's not chronological, not favorite to least favorites, etc., but I go through that, usually before I start my video. Now, this one here, Look Now, nothing particularly interesting about this. Actually, both tracks on this, Look Now and The Only Mother, are available on other albums. I literally just picked this up to complete my collection. I got it for a pretty decent price as well, so didn't break the bank or anything. And yeah, both of the tracks are on this, Held. The Held single, I believe this was from Dong's Devotion era. Either Dong's Devotion or Knock Knock. I think it was Dong's though. Of course, whatever I say about this pretty much goes for this. I can't really say I liked Held. Look Now and The Only Mother are okay. They're nothing particularly amazing. A really good era for Smog, Mr. Callahan, but I don't know. Nothing on this really moves me. Again, it's just kind of good to complete the collection. Held and Cold-Blooded Old Times. This definitely, yeah, so if Held is from, if this and Held are from the same era, then that means Held is definitely from Dong's Devotion then, because Cold-Blooded Old Times definitely is. However, this is called the Acoustic Review. I know the acoustic version of Cold-Blooded Old Times is, I believe it's available somewhere else, but I think that's the 1 7-inch I don't actually have by him. That reason is because both tracks on it are available elsewhere, and I don't know why, but for some reason it's much more than I'm willing to pay, way more than any of the 7 inches I have now. This is okay. If you're really into Cold-Blooded Old Times or Held, then, pick it up, or if you're a collector, but other than that, I don't think it's particularly a crucial 7-inch to have by Mr. Callahan. However, this one definitely is Cane Blue and Spanish Moss. This is also, I believe, referred to as House Music EP or House Music 7-inch. That's the label that produced this in Europe. It's good. Both tracks from this are on Accumulation None though, but if you don't have that, or if it's too hard to find, expensive, etc., this is pretty good. I really like the really simple, very basic art on this. It's kind of cool. I don't really know what it is he's pressing or she's pressing, but I don't know, I like it. It's quite a striking cover, I find. Now this, X-Con. I spoke very highly of this in my description of Red Apple Falls, and I'm gonna again, I think X-Con is one of the best Smog tracks ever, up there with Blood Flow in my opinion. It's so different. It stands out so much from the rest of the record, which isn't even a bad thing. Like, the whole album is really good, but when you listen to X-Con compared to everything else on Red Apple Falls, it's just totally different. I love the synthesizer, and I love how it goes into the horns and then just kind of is gone. I love it. I absolutely love the song so much. You need to check this out if you're a Smog fan, but you haven't listened to X-Con. This was my last, or most recent 7-inch. This is kind of hard to find, and it wasn't cheap. It wasn't outrageous, but it wasn't cheap either. This is the My Shell Astronaut. Yeah, My Shell Astronaut with Suck Dog on the B-side. And I'm going to be honest, I haven't even listened to this. I have no idea what the hell Suck Dog sounds like. But this was definitely one of the rarer Smog 7-inches, I think, because it is quite old, and again, it hasn't been reissued. It's only got one pressing from early 90s, I presume. And both of these tracks are available on Accumulation None, I'm quite sure. I'm not sure if they're the exact same version or not, but I'll eventually listen to this, especially because I am kind of interested in the Suck Dog side. But though they're good tracks, but I've heard them many times from Accumulation None. Really important Smog record here. Floating, the Floating EP. 6 songs? 5 songs. And they're really short. I wouldn't say this is much more than 10 minutes long, but I believe this was his first record on Drag City. Could be wrong, but it was a very early Drag City release. And a lot of the tracks on here, several of the tracks on here at least, I should say, are available on later albums, but sound completely different. Like Red Apples is on here, that appears again on Red Apple Falls, and they're different songs, completely different songs. And yeah, this is a very jangly, abrasive, lo-fi sound, whereas the version on Red Apple Falls is, quite well produced, well polished, that alt country sound. So this is really cool. This is definitely a little bit more expensive, but it is pretty rare, and it is considered, a Smog rarity, or a really important Smog record. So this is kind of a must for Smog collectors for sure. I'm going to finish with that because it's so good. Betrayed. I believe this is from Dongs of Devotion. Maybe Knock Knock. I always say that. I always confuse those two eras from Mr. Callahan. But to me, it's kind of a forgettable track. There's nothing particularly fascinating on here. Only 2 tracks, is it? I think it's just the 2 tracks. Neither of them really do too much for me. Kind of cool art. You're really not going to see it with my crappy camera, but I believe it is original Bill Callahan art. He does do a lot of art and poetry and stuff as well, but it's alright. Cool for the collection, basically. The last one, a hit. And it's interesting, like back years ago, before I started collecting records again, because I had about this 15-year hiatus when I was living abroad, I heard the B-side to this Weinstein Lips on YouTube, and just loved it. Again, it's dark, poetic, nostalgic, basically just about drinking too much wine and kind of confessing things to presumably someone that you have love interest with or whatever. But it's just a really beautiful song, very lo-fi, but just really emotional and dark and beautiful, I'm going to say again. And it's funny because I always thought, oh, I'd love to have that on, vinyl, not knowing anything about vinyl prices, vinyl markets, but I knew this was old. It wasn't remade recently, etc. It was never on CD. And I remember just thinking, like, man, I'd love to have that as well. Weinstein Lips, as far as I know, is never featured on any other record anywhere else, so it's exclusive to this. And I remember when I finally got back to Canada and got situated and was, looking into picking up records because you can actually buy them here. I was like, oh man, it's going to be so expensive, thinking it was going to be like $50 or something, and nothing even close to that. I think I got it for like $12 shipped from Europe, and like 12 Canadian dollars as well, insert as well, which is cool. I don't know if you're going to pick this up here. Almost certainly not, because it is quite dark in here. Oh, a little bit. But this is actually transparent. Oh yeah, there you go. It's actually kind of like transparent red. So I believe it's a reference to, wine. So it's not actually black pressing, because if you hold it up like that, it looks black. But when you hold it up to the light, it is actually kind of red. Yeah, you can pick it up a little bit there. There is a yellow pressing of this, which is rare, because as far as I know, Smog has never released another colored vinyl. I know Bill Callahan did a Record Store Day, I believe it was, album quite recently that was on like blue vinyl, but in terms of like Smog, I don't believe he ever did that other than with this and the yellow version. Trying to work on getting a yellow version, but I don't know, it's just a bit more than I want to pay for a record I already own. Anyways, thank you for watching. Make sure to check out my 12-inch EPs and LPs Smog, and check out, the rest of my collection that's already up, and stay tuned for more that is coming soon.